Welcome to episode 122 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives. But anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. And hopefully, you'll find one or two takeaways to implement per episode. In the previous episode, 121, our guest was Casey Cheshire, discussing podcasting as a marketing tool. Today's episode discusses Decoding the Mystery of Business Credit with Jimmy Rios. Based out of Chandler, Arizona, Jimmy Rios is a CEO of Rios Business Advisors, helping businesses go from eye level to high level. Every business has its own unique story, challenges, and vision for success. With over 20 years of experience, Jimmy has learned that no two journeys are the same. That's why he created Eye Level to High Level, a strategic roadmap to help businesses secure non-recourse funding, optimize financial planning, and scale with confidence. Whether it's reorganizing credit, implementing tax strategies, or increasing operational efficiency, his mission is to craft custom solutions that fuel long-term success. His team doesn't just offer quick fixes. They build lasting blueprints for growth, backed by industry experts who ensure you have the support you need to thrive. Jimmy offers a holistic approach that combines business strategy, funding, and financial planning to help you achieve your goals and long-term success. One of the most rewarding parts of Jimmy's work is hearing real success stories from entrepreneurs who have used his strategy to unlock funding, expand operations, and achieve financial independence. Let's welcome Jimmy Rios. Jimmy, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
How you doing? Thank you for having me, Brian. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us today, Jimmy. Jimmy, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background in becoming the CEO of Rios Business Advisors?
It didn't start as a CEO. I'm 49 years old, and for the last 25 years, I've been in the trenches, I like to say, in financial services. I started as a young kid going to Arizona State University, trying to be a Spanish professor. And that didn't work out because I ended up becoming a young manager of a consumer finance division of a company called Commercial Credit that ended up getting bought out by a big conglomerate in the name of Citigroup, right, which is part of Citibank and Citi Financial and Citi Mortgage. So I ended up running a $9 million producing branch at the age of 25, and really just learning the ins and outs of business from a corporate standpoint. And what I found was that I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't help a lot of the clients in the way that I wanted to help them. It was very inside of a box mentality, and I had to just adapt to that mentality to do what I had to do, but I didn't like it. And so I think as a young kid wanting to make changes in the world, I felt that the only way I could make a change was starting my own business. And people were like, "You're crazy. What are you thinking? You got a great job. You just graduated from ASU. You're going to be a district manager in like a year." And I'm like, nope. It wasn't about the money. I think the money, yeah, as a young kid, you want money, but I think I just saw a vision of what I wanted to do. And ultimately it led me to building this business model that I did. And I remember this is 1997 into 1999, 2000. There was no social media of the sort. And I was working with about 90% of my clients were Hispanic Latinos in Arizona. So I was working with a lot of Latinos and Spanish speaking. And I saw that many of them needed help in so many ways. It wasn't just getting a loan. It was they're business owners entrepreneurs. They wanted to buy a house. They wanted better things for their kids. And it totally took me back because I'm first generation Colombian American. It took me back to my youth as my parents were raising us and they were entrepreneurs. And I remember having to help them with their taxes and with calling the insurance guy and the mortgage guy and doing applications and all these things that I saw myself now helping others to do. And so ultimately, as I saw the need, I started getting into taxes, mortgages, real estate, insurance. I became a one-stop shop by necessity before there was even that concept of one-stop shopping. And I built a financial services ecosystem and ultimately built my credit company to be able to help more people and start doing financial literacy and educating and really taking them to the next level. The name of the company that does the credit is called Next Level Credit. So we always look at escalating and taking people step by step through phases in life to get them to a better place.
Well, that's a very fascinating background, Jimmy. This episode's topic is decoding the mystery of business credit. Why is it that so many entrepreneurs don't understand what's behind business credit?
Well, I think it's the lack of education from the get-go with regards to credit itself. If you ask any business owner, how their credit is, they might know the numbers, but they don't know how that came about and what encompasses the true gist of credit scoring. I wrote a book called Decoding the Mystery of Business Credit, and I have it on Amazon because there was so many steps that were needed to bridge over to business credit, but so many benefits in having business credit as opposed to bootstrapping and using your own credit. Aside from taking away liability for yourself as an individual, if a pandemic or any negative thing happens that you can't control, you don't want to have your liability stuck on your personal credit. You want to have that on your business. And so I started really dissecting that and being able to make it attainable and accessible to the common Joe, right? So we didn't have to make things so complicated. We could help people step by step into building business credit. Many times they didn't even have an LLC or a business of any sort anyways. They needed to get set up structurally first, but we needed to take care of their foundation, which is their personal credit. If they don't understand how to read a credit report, we would teach them how to read a credit report so they could see where the errors were or what needed to be fixed. And as we developed their credit, then we started teaching them about the 5 C's of credit. We started teaching them about, the debt to limit ratios, debt to income ratios, a lot of different parts that go into building credit. And then how do you build business credit? That's a whole nother monster, but it's doable and it can be done. It's just that everybody wants to do things like right this minute. Nobody wants to put the work in over time to build something. So it's like you go to a store and you buy this beautiful set and you take out the instructions and everybody's like, oh, you put it back in the box because you don't want to mess with it, and that's not how it is. You have to put some work into everything that we do. Credit as well. Credit is, I call credit, I always say cash is king, but credit is the ace in the cards. Credit is going to help you get more leverage and be able to do more things properly managed, right? Properly done.
Very good analogy. We're speaking with Jimmy Rios, CEO of Rios Business Advisors. Jimmy, what's your unique perspective on providing tailored financial solutions, especially after weathering the 2008 financial storm and actually coming out stronger?
Yeah, no, I think that experience actually was what led me to seek out more help in so many facets of my business. Because if I didn't know that, if I looked in the mirror and I really wanted to be true to myself, I, for a long time, didn't want to accept that I had weaknesses in my business model, right? And until I started talking to some of these professionals that started opening my eyes to the weaknesses in my systems, in my business, and everything that I was doing, how was I going to be able to tweak it to better myself, right? It's no different than right now. I got a trainer and I'm on a nutrition plan because I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, losing 20 pounds in concept is easy, but in actually doing it is very difficult. And you have to put a lot of work into it, but you have to have a plan. And I didn't have that plan when I was going through my business. I was good at what I did, but that wasn't enough. I needed to have a business. I needed to have a plan of action, right? Not just a business plan, right? And there were so many other facets that I needed help with. And I think that's what really helped me to get to that next level in my own personal life and business life, was being able to get the help and accept that I needed help and do the things that were needed, the work that was needed to be able to get to that next step. Otherwise, I would have probably been chasing my tail like many do. Many will go through, business owners will go through and chase their tail. They won't get ahead because they don't know the rules of the game. They think that as long as I pay my bills, that is okay. But what happened to living a life? What happened to being able to enjoy your business and have a vacation and do other things? It's because there's no structure, and they're not mentored, or they don't have an advisor to help them kind of go through that maze that is building a business. And I think, after 25 years in doing this, I think we can help people now in a better way.
Well, Jimmy, what results or lessons learned have you seen with businesses and individuals that have implemented your recommendations?
Well, I think on both sides, I've seen the ones that have taken the recommendations and I've seen them flourish. I've helped them get to a whole nother level, even being able to sell their business at a profit and being able to have a really good exit plan and set up their trusts and their wills and have an estate plan, all these beautiful things that come about having success. And the other side of the negative spectrum is the people that I did the blueprint for them. I showed them the things that need to be done, but for one reason or another, that they didn't listen, right? They didn't activate or put into action the steps that were needed to succeed. And those were the ones that many had to bow out and call me saying they needed to file bankruptcy or they needed an exit. But when you need an exit and you haven't planned for it, it's more of like trying to get out of a sinking ship. You're just like trying to find safe ground so you don't drown with it. And if you plan an exit strategy, you can get out very nicely and position yourself for the next stage in your life. And that's the difference between the two sides in working with somebody like myself, is that I'm not just going to sell you a product or a service. I'm going to put a plan together for you to be able to have a successful exit. We're all going to exit at some point in life, right? So don't think that just because you have a business that you're not going to need an exit strategy, even if you pass it down to generation or generational. You always want to have an exit strategy in case something happens to that generation. They can take that plan and pass it on. But many people don't think that way. They think very linear in scope. And I think outside the box. I think like a chess game, you got to be thinking 2, 3 steps ahead. What if this happens? Well, what if this happens? And be very willing to pivot in situations that require it. You can't be static. You have to be very fluid in motion and know that change is evident, is going to happen, and you're going to be ready for it. Whether it's good change or bad change, you got to be ready for both sides.
You're spot on there, Jimmy, with an exit plan. We all exit at some point in time, and we need to prepare for the next phase of our
Right.
life.
100%.
We're speaking with Jimmy Rios, CEO of Rios Business Advisors. Jimmy, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
No, I think you've hit some great topics and some great gems on business building and credit. I think I tell people, number one thing you got to do is get real with yourself, be honest with yourself, look in the mirror and seek help, right? Don't think that you need to do this by yourself. Regardless of the cost, there's nonprofits and institutions like SCORE and other places that can help at least guide and lead you into a better direction than bootstrapping it and trying to figure it out on your own. You're going to thank me later in those words, because by being able to seek help, there's a lot of money and time that you'll save by putting things together and doing it the right way. So I always tell people, just get the help that you need, and everything will work itself out.
Jimmy, how can people get in contact with you?
My website is riosbusinessadvisors.com. And my phone number is 928-307, and it's 7467. The easy way is 928-307-RIOS, to remember that. So I can definitely be found on YouTube. I have at Rios Business Funding, so you can check out my videos, instructional videos that I have regarding credit, at Next Level Credit on YouTube as well. So there's multiple ways. And if you Google my name, you'll find me on a lot of different channels.
Jimmy, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you, Brian. It's been a pleasure.
My sincere thanks to Jimmy Rios for joining us today. Managing the performance of your company is one of the most important things you do as a leader. This podcast is on YouTube and over 20 podcast directories. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, make comments, suggest ideas, or potentially be a guest like Jimmy, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. All the podcasts are available by clicking on the website podcast page in the reference bar. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. In our next episode, 123, our guest will be Qassam Islam, discussing scaling and delegation. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You are never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.